Forecast. I'm Joseph, the host of the UFC Forecast, and I am back to give my Week 7 Dana White Contender Series predictions. And this is being recorded 7 hours before the fights. So I watched everyone make weight and face off there yesterday. I'm pretty pumped up for this week. Week 6, I went 4-1, nearly swept. I got caught chasing an underdog, Edward Neves. So hopefully I don't get caught chasing any big underdogs here, but I see some I like. So let's get right into it. See if we can outsmart Yanni the Greek here. And we're going to start it off with the very first fight of the night. Igor da Silva and Jhonata Silva. And both these guys have been pro for a very long time. Very young age. But Jhonata Silva, this guy is very inactive. He went 4 years inactive, 2019 to 2023. He was a pro since 2014. But like I said, he's been very inactive. Guys that he's fought, like he knocked out a guy that was 1-0 in the first round. His last win was in the third round against 11-3 opponent. That's not too bad. And that was a nice knee and punch combo there. So his striking is not too bad, but he's outsized. He usually fights at strawweight, 115. I think he's going to be outsized here against Igor da Silva. And Igor da Silva, he has a 100% finish rate. This guy normally fights guys that are 125 at flyweight, and 3 knockouts, all of them in the second round. 3-0 opponent, 9-1, 5-0, so very high level competition. And his submissions, 3 of those were in the very first round, but they are 6-5, 2-2, 0-0 opponents, bit lower level competition. And in this fight, I see Igor using his strength, getting control, probably getting some takedowns here, constantly using his forward pressure. This guy has a pretty high IQ. He's only 20 years old, constantly improving. I feel like he's a pretty good prospect. On the other hand, we have a 26-year-old who's quite inactive and undersized. I don't believe he's going to get it done here. Igor hasn't fought in 11 months, might have a little bit of ring rust, so I do see this fight going into the second round. Probably going to get the knockout shot here. That's my official prediction on this fight. And next up, we got a fight that's going to be a scrap between Dylan Mantello and Kaen Kruschewsky. I might have butchered his last name, but that's a very hard last name, Kruschewsky. Pretty cool last name, actually. Coming in as a 150 favorite. And Kruschewsky actually corners Claudio Ribeiro. So if you dig into him, he's actually cornering Claudio Ribeiro, who's inside the UFC. This guy won his last 3 fights, all by finish. Pretty mid-level competition. He has 4 knockouts, 8 submissions, and he throws with intent. And he's constantly looking for that guillotine if this fight hits the floor. But Dylan Mantello, he's aggressive, he's very durable. And all around, this guy's a very technical striker that is looking for a finish. He's very dangerous. Only 1 decision win, and that was in his pro debut. Every other fight since was a finish. So if Mantello's going to cash in as an underdog here, I'm thinking it could be by a finish. He's training at Cerro Longo MMA, and they produce killers. He trains with Frivola, Charlie Campbell, Nazem Sedyakov. I mean, I feel like he's getting some pretty good training in. He's polished up, ready to go here. And he's an underdog. He was 275. Now he dropped to 262 this morning. And I'm going to make Dylan Mantello my underdog of the week. Kruschewsky, yeah, he's fought mid-level competition. He's cornered by Claudio Ribeiro, but I don't know, man. He went the distance with a guy that was 3-5, and just pulling the guillotine isn't going to look good for the judges. I don't believe he's going to get the submission here. Mantello, I believe, is going to get out of any submission attempts and just lay some heavy ground and pound, find the finish here. And Kruschewsky was also finished in the very first round by knockout to a guy that got finished to Reese McKee and lost a unanimous decision to Mason Jones. So he is finishable, and the guy that finished him was 13-5. I think Dylan Mantello is a little bit more dangerous, a little bit more polished up, and I think he's a pretty good underdog. I know he's 7-2. This might be a little bit of an early shot at the Dana White Contender Series, but I can see him getting it done. And even if it goes the distance, I feel pretty safe with Dylan Mantello getting more damage here and impressing the judges. And next up, we got a fight in the women's strawweight division. This is the only women's fight, and hopefully one of these girls get a contract because I think both these girls have a lot of hype behind them, but they each have their own game plan. Now, looking at Stephanie Lucindo, she's 5-1, 23 years old. She's going to be the better striker by far. She's aggressive. And she has 2 knockouts, 0-1 and 2-0 opponent, both of them in round 2. So I don't really know if she's going to get the knockout here. More or less, just be more aggressive for 15 minutes and try to get it done by a decision. She is an underdog, and I think there's value there. But when you look at the favorite, Talita Alencar, this girl was a world champion in BJJ, and she needs the takedowns here, essentially. She has 3 submission wins, 2 of them in the first round, but these girls are not high level. 1-5, 0-3. She went to the third round and submitted a girl that was 1-1. But her one decision win came to a girl that was 2-2. That was her last fight. I just don't like the favorite here. I really don't. It's a women's fight. I think this underdog's going to cash in here. She's 23 years old with a 5-inch reach advantage. And the last fight, Dylan Mantello, he also had the reach advantage. I see a lot of these fighters with a pretty big reach advantage here. And two of them I'm going to side with. Stephanie Luciano is going to shine with the striking and get it done by a decision or maybe a knockout. You never know. And next fight on the Dana White Contender Series Week 7, we got JaCobi Jones and Dan Allen. And this is another fight, 5-inch reach advantage for Dan Allen. This is another one in the lightweight division. It's going to be a fucking scrap. And Dan Allen, first off, has trained with Khabib, Usman Nurmagomedov, a.k.a. Kickboxing Academy. This guy, he's getting an early shot. He's 4-0, but they think highly of him. He's training with very high-level guys, and it's very tempting to take this underdog, but you got to look at who he's fighting. He has 2 knockouts and 2 decisions, and his knockouts don't come too early. His only round 1 knockout was against a 0-0 opponent that was debuting. Not impressive at all. He went to round 2 with a guy that was 1-4, ended up knocking him out, and he's constantly going for takedowns, and he gets the takedowns, and he dominates, and he's looking for vicious ground and pound. And with the 5-inch reach advantage, he could hold JaCobi Jones down. That's a problem. He's training with pretty high-level guys, but he's just beating fucking tomato cans. Very low-level wins here. 2 decision wins, 2-4, and another debuting opponent. I'm not taking the underdog here. I see multiple people taking the underdog. Fair enough. He's training at AKA with Khabib and Usman Nurmagomedov. Training with super, super high-level guys. In my opinion, higher-level guys than JaCobi Jones, but JaCobi Jones is more impressive. Coming from the LFA, and these guys are usually fades for me, but he's training at Factory X, still getting good, training in. Guys like Josh Frem that we just seen, AJ Fletcher we're about to see, Cody Brundage we're about to see, and Dustin JaCobi, he's a pretty good striker. So a lot of good strikers come out of Factory X, and this guy's been training there. Overall, he's a very, very accurate striker with vicious ground and pound as well. But his takedown defense isn't the best, and he has a submission loss by armbar to a 4-3 opponent. So he could get taken down and submitted here, but hopefully he can keep this on the feet, keep it aggressive, and if he gets taken down, hopefully he gets back up. He's a super composed and durable fighter, and he's also training at altitude in Colorado, so I believe he will have the better cardio here. But like I said, Dan Allen is training at AKA with Khabib Nurmagomedov, Usman Nurmagomedov, a lot of high-level fucking guys, so there's lots of value in the underdog. But like I said, he's fought fucking tomato cans. I'm not picking him to win here. I'm going to forecast Dustin JaCobi round 2 KO. And next up, we got the biggest favorite of the night in the heavyweight division. And you know this one's going to be a finish. It's 10-0 Shamil Gaziev against 6-0 Greg Velasco. And Greg Velasco, let's talk about the underdog first. He's $5. Let's see if he has some value. And I posted about this guy on Instagram. His vicious ground and pound, it's very deadly. You got to watch out for this guy. He's NCAA wrestler. If he gets it to the ground, it's vicious. And he has 3 knockouts, 2 submission wins. He's a Cage Fury champion. But unfortunately, he's fighting a guy that's fucking a killer, in my opinion. 7 out of 9 first-round finishes, 7 KOs. His last win was a vicious, and I'm talking vicious uppercut. And that was over a former UFC fighter, Darko Stosic. He was 17-5. He also knocked out a guy that was 4-0, and then he won a split decision against a guy that was 13-0. So he has some very impressive wins. I don't think this is a spot where the underdog's cashing. Greg Velasco, when I watch tape on him, honestly, he's a very slow and telegraph striker. I feel like it's slow motion when I was watching the fights. And I don't think he has much of a chance here. Let me know in the comments below if you think he has a chance. I know at the start of the prediction I was just carrying around with you there, but his last wins come to a 3-0 opponent in round 2, a decision win against a 9-5 opponent, and then he submitted a 3-3 guy in round 2. I don't think he's going to beat Shamil Gaziev, who's going to be a real contender in the heavyweight division. He has serious power, he's ruthless and aggressive, but in his last fight he got cracked and dropped, so once he fights some pretty high-level guys in the UFC heavyweight division, expect him to maybe get knocked out and cracked here. But In the Dana White Contender Series, I feel like he's going to shine and get an early finish against Greg Velasco, who's going to look to take it to the ground, not be successful, maybe get caught with an uppercut like Shamil's last opponent, or just get slept with a straight shot down the middle. I'm going Shamil Gaziev, 100% he's going to win, likely in the first round. And if you haven't yet, smash that like button, and if you're new, suplex the subscribe button. I really appreciate that support. I just gave away $500 to one of our forecasters. I hit 500 subscribers recently, so I wanted to give away $500 to one of the forecasters, and I set up a giveaway bot in my Discord. So if you have Discord, it's absolutely free. Join it below. I post my lock and dog of the week early, and there's also a spot for everybody to talk about fights and give their predictions. So join Discord. I hope to see some new people in Discord. Maybe I'll do some new giveaways in the future. And if you want access to all my bets tonight, or for my bets at UFC Vegas 79 this weekend, just join Patreon. It's only $5 a month. One of the best prices in the industry. I already have all my predictions, my raw notes out there for the Patreon members. So great access, exclusive and early access for the Patreon members. And we're going to make it rain here and hopefully show Yanni the Greek who's boss. Let's go get it.